I think today's feminism is very exciting because it's now become very, very urgent.
Hi, this is JD, and I'm about to interview Margaret Cho, the actor, comedian, and political activist for this episode of Broadly Meets.
Margaret Cho is often called the patron saint of outsiders. Known for her no-bullshit stand-up shows, the comedian, actress, producer, and author uses comedy to bring taboo subjects to center stage. Cho famously starred in the 1994 ABC sitcom All-American Girl. But when executives asked the artist to tone herself down, she split from the series. After battles with eating disorders and addiction, Cho went on to channel her experiences and anger into comedy gold. She went on to star in and make guest appearances across multiple TV series, never forgetting to give voice to anti-racism, anti-bullying, and gay rights campaigns. This fall, Margaret is back on the stand-up stage with her next comedy special. There's no I in team, but there is a Cho in Psycho, and she's coming for everyone.
Just knowing a little bit about her story as an artist and political activist, you've used your comedy to empower yourself.
Comedy is an empowering art form because it has a lot to do with the efficacy of your shaming technique. If you can really shame people well, you likely will be a good comedian. And shaming people for the things that they shouldn't be doing, like their sexism and racism and homophobia, is actually very positive. So it's an effective way to use negative aspects of your personality to positive effect.
Why does comedy feel like the thing that helps the most to get that activism out?
I think comedy, for me, is a way to popularize an idea without preaching at people. I think when you're able to make a joke about something that's relevant to how you feel, then it's an easier time kind of bringing other people over to your sort of way of thinking than if you're just telling them to think something. I actually think, like, Andrea Dworkin had a lot of good things to say. She really was right about stuff, but she was so angry that that was all that came across. Like, you have to have more of a sense of awareness and also, like, just self-awareness, too, that you've got to have sort of more of a palatable message. And maybe that's internalized sexism, that I feel like I've got to be more somehow pleasing to the male gaze. But it's more like, I just realized that people are more willing to listen if you're able to couch your statement in something that is entertaining and fun and not make it seem like you're preaching to them.
I wanted to ask you a couple questions about your empowerment through sex. Mm-hmm. You mentioned you're a bottom, mm-hmm. and great.
Yeah, I'm such a bottom, but then that's also like the powerful part is that when you're the bottom, you kind of call the shots. The top is actually in service to the bottom all the time. And so that's something that people outside of that kind of sexuality wouldn't really get.
That was exactly my question. Yeah. I was wondering if that was a form of empowerment for you.
My sex positivity has shifted slightly due to my age. Unfortunately, when you get this close to 50, you become disappointingly less sex positive. And I thought I was gonna become like Betty Dodson, you know, the Joan of Arc of female orgasm. She was like really trying to get, like, let's have orgasms. And she was very, very determined to set women free of this idea that orgasms were only from some kind of penetrative sex, some kind of thing that they were doing wrong, some kind of G-spot or whatever.
An orgasm is an orgasm is an orgasm.
I thought I was gonna be more that, but actually, it's sort of less that, so I want my biology to catch up with my politics on it. I want to be more sex positive if I can.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that aging is playing an important role in your work?
Yeah, aging has shifted my way of thinking, sometimes in a positive way, because now I can look back and really see where I was not complicit in the sex that I was having, but I ended up doing it because I just felt this obligatory urge to take care of the other person and somehow justify my sex positivity in there, and to sort of display that. But I've always been very sex positive. I think it's sort of an important thing, and it's also, that's very political too.
Yeah, and I think something specific to you that's interesting to me is that you identify as bisexual. That kind of has been critiqued a lot by people, both in terms of the bisexual community in general and you specifically.
Well, I criticize myself there because I think bisexual is wrong as it applies to me, because I don't feel that gender is binary. I don't think that we are so easily male or female.
I am technically bisexual, although I am also attracted to transgendered people. So that just makes me greedy.
Bisexuals are kind of weird because we're looked at as kind of a traitor to both sides. We're not easily trusted by either the heterosexual community or the homosexual community. The truth of it is that we just are attracted to people, and it's not, that we have that much of an attachment to what that looks like. It's that we're a little bit more free-thinking in the way that we court desire and accept desire in our body.
So you have a new show.
Yes, it's going to be on Showtime on September 25th. It'll premiere, and it's called There Is No I in Team, but There Is a Cho in Psycho. And it deals with a lot of topics. Overall, it's about becoming crazy when you see the world as it is, and how do you deal with that. I started to be a drug addict because I think, this is a long time ago, because I was so anorexic and bulimic, which is internalized sexism. Anorexia, bulimia, body dysmorphia, and all of these issues are just internalized sexism. So it's us trying to punish ourselves for not conforming to this societal ideal. It's a very difficult time to be a feminist and not just be totally enraged always. It's heavy because I feel very acutely all these things that I'm trying to express, and they really do make me angry. But I also have to remember that I'm just an entertainer. So I have to just keep that presence alive too.
In your everyday life, do you feel like you have a lot of joy?
I do. I have a lot of excitement. The fact that I'm able to survive and enjoy my life as an entertainer with this very sort of serious outlook on things, but still be considered a comedian, it's positive, and that's good. It means people are sophisticated enough to understand that I'm taking my comedic sensibility and trying to use it as a weapon. And that's really positive.
Yeah. You have been very vocal on the internet about your history of sexual abuse and other things, and also just very vocal about your political stance. How do you feel like today's feminism is working with the internet?
The idea of women speaking up and telling their truth has become so important because it's a violent time for women, and so feminism has emerged. It really reminds me of Riot Girls. You're a very big part of that. That's a sort of feeling that it's I think we should just all start wearing corduroy and
baby tees.
Baby tees. We really got to go back to that kind of 7-year bitch. That to me was the greatest era of feminism, and I really feel it returning, and within it was rock and roll. And now it seems to be with comedy. There's such eloquent complaint coming from feminist comedians. It really is inspiring, but it really is so necessary. There was a time where people didn't want to claim feminism, that feminism was somehow, I'm not like that. I don't want to be one of that. Everybody wants to go to war now, which is awesome.
You seem so comfortable talking about everything that has happened in your life and that you think might happen, and I'm wondering if there's anything you feel uncomfortable talking about.
Well, thank you. I don't know if I feel uncomfortable talking about that much. What made me really uncomfortable is this idea that people had a few years ago that was women aren't funny. And this was all sort of inspired by the Christopher Hitchens article in Vanity Fair. And it kind of created a big sort of thing about women aren't funny, and people agreeing with it, and women agreeing with it, and then women being asked, female comics in particular, being asked to justify or defend that. And I was very uncomfortable with that. The fact is it's not true. Women are very funny.
It's been really cool to see Amy Schumer brought city? Do you feel like it's changing the way we see politics and laughing?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting. I think it's really great. And I think possibly this great renaissance in feminist comedy we're having is really a result of Christopher Hitchens and that kind of statement. He made that statement and all these girls were like, oh, hell no. And they actually changed the world in order to go in your face, Christopher Hitchens, but then he died too fast to see it. So he just was dead in the ground thinking women weren't funny. Women aren't funny, dead, and then can't do anything now.
And now look who's funny.
Now look who's funny.
Yeah.
Dead, he can't answer back. See, dead.